Hey guys, it's Luis here with the House Matchmaker Real Estate Group, and this video is solely going to be showing when you're going to make an offer, what forms I encourage you guys to use. If you're in my brokerage, it's going to be the forms that you're going to need for compliance whenever you are processing a transaction. And this initial video is going to only cover where you're going to get the information from that you need, as far as where do you get the buyer information, the names of the buyers, where do you get the names of the sellers, what forms do you need for your offer, what are the forms for. It is going to be a pretty long video because it's going to be very detailed as far as what I think that you guys should do whenever you're following your transaction. And it's just the way that I do things and the way I encourage you guys to do it. So I hope this helps. Watch this video. The next video after this is going to cover a little bit more about how to fill in the 1-to-4 contract. So if that's what you're wanting to watch, please skip to the next video or look for the video in the YouTube page. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to open Matrix, and we're also going to open Dotloop. Okay, what I typically like to do is I like to put my windows side by side, just so that it's easier for me to pull the information. And what I do is, I have a thing about my Dotloops always having a picture of what the house is. So I always start by looking for the home address. Typically, I will not look for the street name. I will only look for the number. Okay, 904, and then if it's available, it's going to be right here. If it's already gone under contract, it'll be under P right here for option pending. So what I'm going to do is 904 Dorothy. It's right here. Now this one is listed as, yes, so it is going to be this one. And the first thing I want to do is I automatically click on it, save the image to my downloads, easy peasy. Second thing I do is I click the listing, I put save, actions, print email to PDF. When I do this, it allows you to click what do you want to have. I always do the 360 property view. And part of my compliance is requesting that my agents submit this with their offer. What I want is the listing, the tags, the photos, and I typically have the flood map because sometimes I share this report or I take it to listings, to showings for my clients, and I like to know if it's in a floodplain or not. So you could select that or leave it unselected. Either or, doesn't matter. Compliance, we are going to need this 3 right here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do print to PDF. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you guys why that is important to have. And we'll touch a little bit more based on that. Okay, so it's a 4-page report. I'm going to go ahead and download that. I'm going to name it MLS Printout and Tax Record, just so that when it gets submitted to compliance, that's the title it has on my Dotloop. And once I'm done with that, I go back to results. The next thing I do is I check if the home has any attachments. So right here, you will see that this one is in gray because the agent did not provide any attachments for this property. This is listed as a lot, so that may be the reason why there was no very limited information provided as far as attachments, or there might have not been a survey or a seller's disclosure or something like that. Okay. However, you always want to check for attachments because we want to make sure that we match the seller's information correctly. And I'll show you guys what I mean in just a few seconds. Okay. Next thing I do is I copy the MLS number. Select copy, and now I bring it over to Dotloop. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste it over here. And as soon as you paste it, it's going to pull the listing straight from MLS. If you were to just type in the address, which you can do that, 904 Dorothy, you got to be careful because this one right here will pull this 3 right here. However, you'll see that this one is 650, 950, and then this one right here is a completely different MLS number. So all of these properties have actually been listed multiple times. Okay, so that's why Dotloop pulls several different ones. So just to be on the safe side and to make sure that I'm pulling the right information, I always just paste the MLS number. It generates it, I click on it, and then it asks me if I want to import the data straight from MLS. That's a yes. Continue. I don't encourage my agents to ever choose a template, just unless you have pre-made a template for yourself where all the documents are in, which you're welcome to do that. However, I don't have that. Next thing is going to be upload a photo. We're going to go to downloads. It's going to be right here. Done. And let's get it uploaded. You can also edit the information right here, type. This is going to be a purchase because I am representing the buyer. Okay. The status is pre-offer because I'm about to write the offer. And we are actually going to do a full ask offer at $360,000. Okay. Once that is done, you can just view the loop or click on the right here. Next thing I'm going to do is if I go into templates, I'm going to go into the buyer documents, and there is a compliance checklist that I ask my agents to have, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. We're going to go ahead and open this in a new window. And what I want to do is I want to start off by making sure that I have all of the required documents as I'm starting the offer, okay? So what happens is right now I'm going to submit an offer. However, I'm also going to walk you guys through the required documents that you're going to need for this offer, okay? So if I go into add a document, I'm going to look for the templates. And if you go under buyer documents, most of these documents should already be here. If you don't want to scroll up and down to search for them, you can always look for the TAR number that you'll see here on the side. So this one says TAR 1501. So on the search bar right here, we're going to type in 1501. It's going to generate that one. We're going to click it. Next, we're going to delete number 2501. And now we're going to look for TAR 2501, then TAR 1506, TXR 2517, and so on and so on. Okay, so the next one's going to be 2510, which is not here. 2501. There it is. Once you check it, you can go on to the next one, 1506. There it is, 2517, 2506, 1928, 410, 2508. Okay, and that is the required document when you're representing a buyer. Now, when you're submitting an offer and you're going to go under contract, these are the forms that you're gonna need to have, okay? So the first one's going to be an executed contract, okay? Depending on what kind of property that you are buying, it's going to be the different contract that you are going to use. This one right here is actually a 1-to-4. So if I type in 1-2, it generates this contract, which is the one that I'm gonna need for my offer. Okay. Next is going to be the third-party financing because my client is going to have the loan finance. The next one is going to be buyer pre-approval letter, which we obtained that from the seller. I'm sorry, from the mortgage lender or from your client. Okay. The next one, seller's disclosure, that is provided by the listing agent. If there was seller disclosures, then they should have been uploaded onto the MLS as attachments. Right here, we saw that they don't have them. However, we are going to need them because this is going to be single family home. So earlier I said it was a lot. That is actually incorrect. So we're going to go, just make a note. We need to get a buyer pre-approval and we need the seller's disclosures. Then it's going to be the special flood hazard, which is form 1414. Here it is. Okay, addendum for a property subject to a mandatory HOA, which is 1922. There it is. Now we are seeing two here. Why do we have two? This one says addendum for property subject to mandatory membership in a property owner association. Addendum for property subject to mandatory membership in a property owner's. It's the exact same form, so whichever one you choose, you'll be fine. Okay. The next one is going to be right here, the buyer's walkthrough form. Okay. This one you do not submit with your offer. However, you do want to have it because you'll, just as a reminder that you need to do a final walkthrough, and whether your client does a walkthrough or not, we need to have that form. Okay. Lastly is the MLS full agent report, which is this report here that we just downloaded. If I click on it, it'll generate it, and just to refreshing you guys on what that is, it's this document that we downloaded. Okay. So now I know that I have all of my compliance documents. If you scroll down on this list, there's actually also optional buyer compliance documents. Every time you have a transaction, you want to go through this list just to make sure and see that if there's something that applies, that you do include it here. One thing I am going to want to check is to check if this home is going to have an HOA, okay, which is going to determine if I need this form 1922 that I selected. Okay, this home is in the Heights, so I want to say that it's not going to have an HOA. And what you're going to do is you're going to go into MLS, scroll down. And down here where it says financial information, okay, right here, if there is an HOA, there's going to be a maintenance fee listed here, okay? And it also allows them to enter how much that maintenance fee is. If the home was under an HOA, then the agent would have disclosed there that they do have a maintenance fee, and it would tell us what, I'm sorry, I think I might be looking at the wrong thing. Or up here, right here, they also put HOA. However, I think that's going to be the same. Okay, so HOA is a no. Okay, so we know that we are not going to need to have an HOA. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this. All right, and because we're not going to need that addendum. We are going to go down the list of other necessary documents. Printout, water district, lead-based paint. Remember, if the home was built before 1978, then you need this addendum. So again, you go into Matrix, you go into the year built. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys an example. If I go into the agent single line display, what I wanna go look at is a property that had an attachment. So right here, you guys will see that this property had an attachment. So just for training purposes, I'm gonna go in here. And what you would wanna do is you would wanna go in here. First of all, you wanna see the year built. This house was built in 1985, okay? The one that we are putting an offer on also was built before 1978, I wanna say. And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and include it, because for that one, I'm not sure if it's just not listed correctly. So what we're going to do is, just to be on the safe side, I am going to include the lead-based paint. Again, I can just type in lead. It's not coming up. If I go into my checklist, the lead-based paint disclosure is the 1906. 1906. It's not here. Okay, which brings a great point up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and upload these documents that I have already checked, and you'll see that all of the ones that you have put a check mark are right here. It's 12. Right here, one of them had an error uploading, so all you gotta do is press the try again, and then it'll tell you that all 12 of 12 got imported. Select OK. Now, if there is an addendum that you cannot find, there's gonna be 3 different sections that you always want to look for the document in, okay? If you scroll right here all the way to the bottom, okay, there is an HAR documents, okay? There is also a Texas Realtor interactive documents, and there's also TREC interactive forms, okay? So your best bet is going to be just to look in all 3 folders. So if you want to start with HAR down here, we're looking for a form 1906, it's not there. Okay, we're going to go into Texas Realtor interactive forms, and we're also going to search for it here, 1906. There it is. Okay, addendum for seller's disclosure on lead-based paint. Select it. Okay, before I copy it and upload it to Dotloop, I want to go down this list and make sure that I don't need anything else. Amendment, disclosure, on-site sewer, water district, temporary, lead-based paint. If there is a if you are going to include a lead-based paint addendum, then by law you do have to also provide the lead-based paint pamphlet to your buyer, okay, which is TAR 2511. So we're also going to go ahead and look for that. Addendum for the sale of other property, amendment, information, non-realty item addendums, notice. Okay, so this is really important for you guys just to glance at this last section, because right off of the top of your head, sometimes you don't know if you're gonna need any other documents. However, as I'm going down this list, and I'm realizing that this property could need a lead-based addendum. It could need a pamphlet for the lead base. And right now, also another thing that I'm seeing is that the non-realty item addendums. Okay. I want to remind you guys that if you are going to make an offer on the home and the home has anything that the client wants to take with the purchase of the home, then you have to submit a non-realty item addendum. Okay, so what that means is that the home is going to come with everything that is affixed to the estate. Okay, which will be a dishwasher that is installed. It'll be a garbage disposal that's attached to the sink. It's going to be a microwave if the microwave is attached to the home. For example, if the microwave is sitting on the counter, then you cannot. Then if your client wants that microwave that sits on the counter, okay, because that microwave is not affixed to the estate, you have to request it on the non-realty item addendum. Now, if the microwave is installed on the cabinet above the stove, okay, or it's installed anywhere else like a built-in oven that you'll see in older homes, then you do not have to include it in the non-realty item addendum. Okay, but what you will include, the most common things you want to include in a non-realty item addendum is washer and dryer, and the refrigerator. Those are the most common items that if they're in the home, you as the buyer's agent, for the sake of your client's best interest, you want to go ahead and ask for the washer, dryer, and the refrigerator if the client wants it. If you make an offer without the non-realty item addendum and your offer gets accepted, the listing agent could come back later on if you decide to say, hey, I'm so sorry, I forgot to put the non-realty item addendum. My client actually wanted the refrigerator. The listing agent can say, you know what, Louis, unfortunately, the offer that we accepted were under these terms. The client was not going to be letting go of the refrigerator. They were actually going to take it to their next home. And unfortunately, your client is out of luck because the realtor would have the right to say, no, you cannot have the refrigerator because you didn't submit a non-realty item addendum. Okay? This is also really important also if the home has solar panels, if the home has a water softener system, or anything else that your client is going to want to have with the purchase. Some things that you'll learn in real estate school are things like a chandelier, but anything that your client wants. If there's a TV mount that was left behind, if there are curtain rods, okay, if there are anything in the home, okay, a painting that was left, I don't know, something as minimal as a curtain in the shower that was left there for staging or whatever. If your client wants that, okay, then they have to include it in the non-realty item addendum. One thing that I like to do is I like to go to the listing and just make sure, because sometimes you see a lot of homes and you forget what had what. Okay, so what I like to do, just as a refresher, I like to go through the images. And if in the images, this home only has 4 pictures, but if in the images I would have seen a refrigerator, a washer and dryer, okay, and my client wanted it, then I would be requesting that on a non-realty item addendum. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. I just want to make sure I got the non-realty item addendum, TAR 1924 form. Make sure I have it checked off. All right, I'm going to go ahead and check it, copy it, and now it's going to import all of those. Okay, so now that we have all of the attachments that we're going to need for our client, okay, the first thing we are going to want to do is, what I encourage you guys to do is have them in this order, okay? It'll help you meet compliance a lot easier when you submit your documents for compliance, and it'll keep your forms a lot more organized, okay? So what I like to do is, let me just go ahead and get this done real quick. Third party, representation, okay. Addendum for seller disclosures. I'm going to put the pamphlet after the lead-based paint addendum. All right, so that is the order I'm going to go ahead and fill this forms in. Today, in this video, I'm not going to cover how to fill in these forms. Okay, however, I do want to have them here, but we're going to go ahead and skip right to the offer forms, okay, which right here is the executed contract, the third-party financing, the non-realty items, the information about flood hazards, the seller's information about lead-based paint, the pamphlet, and that's what we're going to use for the offer. Okay, but before we get to that, we have to add the people to the offer down here. So Luis will be the buying agent. Alma will be the listing agent. This right here will be your brokerage. So if you're representing the buyer or you are, it's going to be in your Dotloop the buying broker. Okay. So every contract has three parties. It has a listing broker. Okay, I'm sorry. It has a broker, an agent, and a client. Okay. In this case, we have the buying broker, the buying agent. Now we need the buying client. Okay. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is the buyer's information. I'm going to go ahead and open the pre-approval letter, and I'm going to put her name on the contract exactly the way it is listed on her pre-approval letter. So if we look at the pre-approval letter here, we actually see that there are going to be two buyers for the property. Okay, so when we add a person, we are going to put Diana Esquivel. Okay. And we're going to assign her to a role as a buyer. Okay. Once you put that, this is what is going to be essential to pre-fill the contract. For the most part, at this point, if I have my client's email, then I will go ahead and put it on here. But and the more you fill in here, the easier it's going to be for you to fill out your contract. Okay. So let's just say that it's diana@gmail.com. Her street address is 123 Shepherd Drive, and that's in Houston, Texas. Her phone number is 123-456-7890. Okay. Her post is 77493. Okay. And her marital status really doesn't matter for the contract. Okay. Once we go ahead and add her, we need to make sure that there are no typos. Otherwise, it is going to create an error and an issue on our contract. Diana Esquivel, go ahead and add this person. Okay. Now we need to add the other buyer, which is Joseph. Okay. When the pre-approval doesn't give Joseph a last name, then that means that it has more than likely husband and wife, and they share the same last name. Joseph Esquivel, joseph@gmail.com, and we're going to assign him the role of a buyer as well. Okay. Phone number, 123 Shepherd. 123-456-789. Okay. We're going to go ahead and add him to the person. So now we have the three parties on the purchase side, which is the buying broker, the buying agent, and the buyers. Okay. On the other side, we need to have a listing agent, a listing broker, and a seller. Okay. So in order to obtain the seller's information, what we're going to do is we're going to go into Matrix. Okay. And I encourage you guys to always check two things. Okay. If there's attachments, make sure that on the attachments, okay, if there's a seller disclosure or any signatures for the sellers, that we get those names the way they are on those attachments, because that's who's going to be selling the property. If the property doesn't have any attachments, then all we really can do is go to the tax records, okay, which if you click on this tab, it'll generate it, and it'll tell us who the seller is, Martha Fraps. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to add a person, and you want to make sure that it is on tax records. It's always last name, first name, but on the contract, it's going to be first name, last name, obviously. Okay, Martha Fraps, because she is on the other side of the transaction, a lot of the times we don't have an email for her, and we don't have much information about her because she is not our client. So we're going to go ahead and just leave that blank. And we're going to give her the role of the seller. It's going to populate this information. We don't have it. We're not going to ask the listing agent for this information because that's not our client, and we don't need their information. Just the name and their role. We add them to the transaction. Okay. Now we need to make sure that we have the three parties, the listing agent, the listing broker, and the seller. So now the only thing that we're missing is the listing agent. For this training, this listing is for Alma, who is also part of our brokerage. Okay. However, let's go ahead and click the next tab, and let's move from Dorothy Street to another house, 904 Crystal Bend. Okay. Just for the sake of training, let's say that we were working with Ben Caballero. Okay. So then what we want to do is we would want to get Ben's broker information, which for training purposes, we're going to do that. Okay, so we're going to say Alma's the listing agent, and she's with Highland Homes Realty. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add a person, and we're going to add Highland Homes Realty. Okay, the role is the listing broker. That's actually another trick. If you're looking for a tenant, if you drop the drop-down menu and you hit the letter T, it'll take you to the first row with the T. If that's not it, hit T again. Actually, it's a cell, so there's no tenant here. But let's say that we were wanting to put the listing broker. So because listing broker starts with an L, we would press L, and it takes us to admin. If we press L again, it takes us to listing broker. If we press L again, it takes us to loan officer, loan processor, so on and so on, listing agent. So this is just a shortcut to finding the role. Okay, so this is going to be the listing broker, and what we want to do is right here, we typically have all of the information that we're going to need. Okay, so it is going to be Sunbelt Drive. Email, we can get that in just a second, but your street number is 4310. We're going to paste Sunbelt Drive. No unit number. We know that that's in Addison, Texas. 75001. Okay. Now for licensees, you do have to put in a license number and an ID. Okay. And where you're going to obtain that from, okay, is either if you're wanting to get the agent's information, their listing ID, or their license number, you would click on their name. Right now we are looking for the brokerage, so we're going to click on brokerage. And right here, it'll give us the broker license. We're just going to copy that and bring it over to Dotloop. Okay, it's going to give us the office ID, and we're going to put it under ID. Okay, they even have an email right here that you can copy and add to add to the loop. Okay. So once all this is filled in, you're going to go ahead and put add person. Okay. So now we have all parties to the transaction here. Okay. We have buyer, buyer's agent, buyer's broker, listing agent, listing broker, and the seller. Okay. So now we're going to go back to our listing. And what I like to do is I like to make sure that right here, Alma's information is all correct in here. Okay, or whoever the listing agent is. So if I click on Alma's name, it'll populate her information, and it shows that a lot of these are blanks. Okay, again, we're going to take everything from over here, from MLS, and we're going to go ahead and put their information over here. Okay, street number is 5608, 10th Street, Katy, Texas, 77493. Okay. Now we need Alma, or whoever the listing agent is, we need their ID, Alma F, paste it under ID, and we're going to need her, her license number, okay, which is right here. All right. The email's also right here. However, when it pulled the information, it brought it over here, so we don't necessarily need it for this. We're going to go ahead and save this. Now we know that all of our contract forms are filled out. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the contract to write the offer. Okay. One thing that I do want to add here is I want to remind you guys that for the offer, you need to have the executed contract, the third party, followed by the pre-approval. Okay. So right here, before I do that, before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and add a document. I've already downloaded the pre-approval letter, so I'm just going to drag and drop it here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right after the third-party financing agreement. Now let's go ahead and select the forms that we want to fill in and press open at the very top. Based on the roles that you have assigned, Dotloop is actually going to pre-fill everybody in here. Okay, so buyer number 1 is Diana, buyer number 2 is Joseph, seller is Martha Fraps, buying agent is Lewis, listing agent is Alma, buying broker is the House Matchmaker Group, and the listing broker is Highland Homes Realty. Okay, once all those roles are assigned, then this is going to make your contract filling a lot easier. Okay, if we scroll down, we want to make sure that every section after that has as many details that need to be there as possible. Okay, and it says you are linked to this address. All this information is correct. There's no unit number. Buying agent, it went ahead and put in all my information here, asking for a unit number here that we don't have, which is fine. Okay, now it's financials. Okay, what is our offer going to be? The $360,000 came from when we created the loop. I don't know if you guys remember that we put in that the purchase price was going to be $360,000 as a pre-offer template. Okay. Would if that needed to change, you could go ahead and modify it here. Earnest money for this house, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 1%, which would be $3,600. Then we have the listing agent information. Make sure that as much as possible is filled in here. The only thing I see missing here is their phone number. So I'm going to go ahead and enter it. Okay. And now contract dates. Okay. This is going to be a 30-day closing. Okay. So what we're going to do is just click on here. It generates today's date, which is August 4th. We're just going to go ahead and close on September 4th. So if you just scroll over, you're going to select September 4th. However, you want to be careful because September 4th falls on a Sunday. If we close on September 2nd and the lender needs 30 days for closing, then we run the possibility that what if the lender cannot close us on the 2nd? So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to close that Monday right after the 4th. Okay. Remember, title companies only, most title companies, I think not all, just work Monday through Friday, and they're pretty just 9 to 5 type of hours. Hours vary, obviously, but yeah, they're typically Monday through Friday. Okay, so we're going to close on September 5th. Now we have the buyer. Okay, it's asking for buyer contact number. I guess this didn't generate because when I put it in the pre-filled documents, or in the Dotloop, I put it under cell phone or mobile number. And this right here doesn't pull that. It just pulls just straight phone number, which is fine. Okay. We have buyer number 1, buyer number 2. We're going to give them the same phone number. Okay. That's filled in. Now the seller has a lot of blue marks here because I don't have their email, I don't have their phone number, I don't have their address. And to be honest, they're not my clients, so I shouldn't really, yeah, you won't have that information. However, if you look at the tax records, right here for the property, if you click on the tax tab, you actually can see if they have, if the owner does not live on this property at Dorothy, then it'll put where their billing address is. And typically this is where the seller lives, okay? Or the address that they have on file with the tax records. Okay, so for the sake of training, I'm gonna go ahead and just pre-fill that in here. Street number is 1610, Turnpike Road, and it says over here it's Houston, Texas, 77008. Now that information I do have, so I'm gonna go ahead and add it here because this also does pre-fill in the purchase contract. Okay, one thing that unfortunately doesn't typically pull from MLS is the geographic description. But if you go into MLS and go into the listing, okay, it is this legal description that you see here. Okay, so what you need on Dotloop is lot number, block number, and addition. Okay, so what you need right here is lot and block, and everything else is just extra, and you're just gonna copy it, and you're gonna bring it over here. And MLS says lot 23, addition, we're gonna paste all that verbiage, and then block is number 2, okay? Buying brokerage, license number, okay? After that, we are going to go, you reach the bottom of the form, and everything that you have here is going to get pre-filled, okay? There's a button down here that says autofill. By clicking it, it's going to fill in a lot of your contract blanks. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope it was helpful. If there was anything else that might have been missed or any questions you may have, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. I will be more than happy to help you. For those of you who don't have my contact number, I am Luis Flores with the House Matchmaker Real Estate Group, and my phone number is 832-352-6437. Go out there, kill it in real estate, and go make some money.